Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Before we do that, though, we did have a little bit of housekeeping that we wanted to kind of shout out real quick. First one being is thank you, Michael, for becoming a supporter on Patreon. We really appreciate that you chose to do that. So thanks for supporting us.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. It's super helpful, and it's great just to be supported and lets us know that people actually enjoy what we're doing. It's always nice to hear.
Yeah, it is super affirming.
Yeah.
So thank you. And if you're interested in doing that as well, joining Michael on Patreon, you can do that by going to patreon.com/thegreateststoryeverplayed. You can donate as little as $1 per month, and that will get you access to monthly bonus episodes that we do. So recently we did we talked about our top 10 favorite games of all time. Whittling that down and trying to decide what we really love the most. Or we talked about our favorite games from childhood at one point, or our favorite Pokemon, or things like that. So it's fun. If that sounds like something you'd like, definitely check that out. We'd super appreciate it. It means a lot and it's super helpful. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing we wanted to shout out is this is episode 150 of the podcast.
It's crazy.
Which is wild. We hadn't really realized it, and as we were just kind of going, looked and we're like, oh, wow, this is 150. We should shout this out because it's pretty cool to do this 150 times. This is crazy. This is
a lot of times.
Yeah, that's kept going. And we were talking beforehand, actually. It's wild with Patreon, we did an old podcast before this that didn't work out. I don't know. There's a lot of time talking on the internet about stuff we like. And sometimes stuff we don't like.
Yeah.
But largely stuff we like.
First podcast was mostly stuff we liked towards the end.
Labor of love. Tried to like.
Yes.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we used to do a podcast about a show called The Mist that did not work out and got canceled after one season. And so we ended our podcast a little while after that because the show we were hoping to podcast on died.
Yeah, our podcast was literally called The Mist Podcast. So when the show you're trying to talk about is not very good and no longer exists, you can't keep doing it. Yeah,
which ultimately led us here, which is great, and have been really glad to be here. But yeah, we wanted to shout out 150. Thank you to anyone. If this is the first time you're here, thanks for being here. If you've been here since episode 1 or somewhere in between, again, thank you. It's really cool that people like sharing these games with us. That's, I don't know, super enjoyable, and yeah, really glad about that. So thank you for that. But yeah, I guess with that, we'll wrap this part up, and we'll get into Spider-Man Miles Morales, so Jordan will have us there.
Cool, yep. So, in the latest adventure in the Marvel Spider-Man universe, teenager Miles Morales is adjusting to his new home while following in the footsteps of his mentor, Peter Parker, as a new Spider-Man. But when a fierce power struggle threatens to destroy his new home, the aspiring hero realizes that with great power, there must also come great responsibility. To save all of Marvel's New York, Miles must take up the mantle of Spider-Man and own it. So this was developed by Insomniac Studios, who made Spider-Man, the first game, Ratchet & Clank, and Resistance. So 2 longer series, and then also Marvel stuff, Spider-Man.
Yep. Yeah, up and coming with not up and coming, but getting Marvel restarted, I guess, in that their big games. Spider-Man being such a hit, ending up with this. Future-wise, having Spider-Man 2 come, Wolverine, all that. They're cool and make good games. I don't know. I'm really glad that they're doing what they're doing, and feel like we really reap the benefits of that. With the first Spider-Man with this, I assume the other things to come will also be good.
Yep, Wolverine. You mentioned that already, right?
But
that's coming out. Yep.
Yeah, really cool. Another kind of production note that I thought was fun is Mary Kenny was one of the writers on this game, which she's a Twitter friend of ours, and worked on Telltale's Walking Dead, the final season. She was a part of that crew before Telltale closed. She ended up at Insomniac, and was a writer on this. She's going to be a writer on the upcoming Wolverine game. So just kind of fun of oh, I know you, and kind of, or whatever, on the internet. And I was excited to play this once I heard she was writing on it, and so I'd had my eye on it. I would have played it without that, but I think playing that just kind of made me more excited as well. And pretty cool.
Yep. So if you played this game and you like the writing, you should thank her. 'Cause
Yeah.
a writer.
yeah, totally. Shout her out.
Yeah.
And I think there are a couple other writers too, but
I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure it's a team because, I don't know, like it would take forever to write video game stuff.
Oh yeah, I was reading something. I forget about which game. But it's like thousands of pages to write dialogue for games because there's so much.
Yeah.
Like you have, like in this game, there's NPCs everywhere. They can't like have like, oh cool, we'll just write 10 phrases and like
just regurgitate.
Anyone you see will see. Yeah, like I mean.
Well, there are games like that, but
no, there are,
but they're not very good.
No, right, or just you. If the longer you play, the less like quote unquote magic it feels. You're like, oh, okay, this is just kind of what NPCs say.
Yeah.
Versus here, like, I didn't notice that.
No, I didn't either. And then also you think about, I mean, a movie script is insane, I'm sure, but this is potentially, like, in a long game, there's a lot of fucking dialogue, right? Like,
right.
You got a game like, I'm trying to think of a good...
Like Red Dead 2 or something.
Yeah, Red Dead 2. Like, I'm sure at some point the NPCs say the same stuff because they have to, but with all the missions in that, it's all unique dialogue. Like, that's got to be an insane amount of writing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
But, yeah, super cool. I guess that's a little background on the game. Before we dive into it itself, we did want to do a couple non-spoiler thoughts to kind of give you an idea of what we think about the game without kind of ruining any main things.
Yeah.
My first thought here is this feels very similar to Uncharted Lost Legacy. That was something I'd kind of heard it compared to before I'd played it, and I think that's pretty apt. I think the two main things being in there, one is you get to have your main character step aside and have someone else kind of take the forefront. Peter Parker and Nathan Drake not being the main playable character, not being the main person in the game. Instead, Miles or Chloe from Uncharted. But I think that's a good comparison. And then I think the other thing those both have in common are they add to the world. It shows you can do a game without the main character. And I think it really acts as probably not an official sequel, but sort of a 1.5 when looking at a game. It's not Spider-Man 2, it's not Uncharted 5 or whatever, but it's a thing in between. You get to, I assume it's good for a studio because you get to reuse, like, you have to make a whole new map probably.
Yeah.
At least in this one's case, it seemed like.
Yeah, it was the same map for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, I just think that's nice, and I'm glad to add to it in that way, and I think it just adds to the overall experience of the series.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, it's smaller in terms of main story length and like, I guess what you can do potentially, but like we said, the map's the same size. It's the same. I mean, it's the same map as Marvel Spider-Man, the first one. You still have like the side things you can do. Like you can still, bust up crimes that are happening in the city. You can still collect things, etc. So there's still a lot of things you can do. But the main story is 8 to 10 hours around there, depending on how good or bad you are at it.
Yeah, that's how long mine took. I think it's something like that. And I think too, with the map being the same and all of those things, that's not a bad thing. I feel like instead each of those things were. Pivoted, I guess, a little bit to fit for Miles Morales. So Miles Morales' collectibles aren't the same things Peter Parker was collecting.
Yeah.
Or the side quest he could go on, they would have some different things going on. Or the types of crimes he's stopping or people he's fighting. Like, some of that stuff is different. Mm-hmm. And it was cool. It was unique. It didn't feel like it was just... we switched our protagonist and that was it. Instead, it's deeper, it's more personalized, it's more... all of that, which I thought was really cool. Yeah,
I agree. It's essentially, I have two thoughts. They're very connected, so I'm just going to say them both. It's smaller. It's like a more condensed version of the first game. They didn't just replace Peter Parker with Miles. It's, like you said, it's kind of tailored to him. It's tailored to where he's at in his life as Spider-Man. The bad guy or the antagonist, they're tailored for him. It's a condensed good version of Spider-Man. It's definitely not a bad game. Mm-hmm. But so for me, I'm a big fan of Peter Parker. Just his sarcasm, the way he responds to, enemies as he's just getting the shit kicked out of him or whatever you want to say. So that was a little different for me. I think if you like Miles Morales a lot, like the character, I've heard people actually like this game more than the first one because they like Miles and they like maybe because it's more condensed. I'm not sure. But I'm actually more of a fan of the first game. This game's still really good, and I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun to play. But I just like Peter Parker more. I'm more of a Spider-Man traditionalist, quote unquote.
Sure.
I grew up with Peter Parker, so that was one thing that took me like a couple hours to kind of get over like not playing as Peter. It felt kind of wrong for a little bit. So if you feel like that, I would keep playing it. It's still really good in its own right.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that makes sense. It is kind of different in that way for sure, I would say.
Yeah.
My last non-spoiler thought is this game gives you kind of this side of like the coming of age for a superhero. So Miles has a lot of things going on. It's like, he's got his Spider-Man stuff going, but he has high school friends and, different things he's adjusting to and all of that. And I thought that was kind of cool of a side to see of your superhero protagonist, all that stuff. So I like that. I'm not going to say more than that because I think those are story beats that we'll want to talk further about. But I thought that was cool and, I don't know, enjoyable to see. And I would say also off top, like you said, I liked the OG more as well. But that's not a knock on this game. I think this game's really good. I wonder if I played this one first, if I would feel the opposite way. Like, if for some reason I played this first, I'd be like, wow, this is great. And then I might feel like, oh, the OG Spider-Man, that was cool too, but I like this more. So I could see that being the case.
A lot of people I talked to said this game they thought was better than the first one, which, I could see why someone would have that opinion. But, I guess I can't really say much more about that without spoiling anything, so I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, it's comparing two really good games. Like, I feel like Insomniac hit 2 home runs. Yeah. And, I don't know. If one went further into the parking lot, that's fine, I guess. But, like...
One hit a car, the other one hit a fucking guy in the concession stand.
Either one. They're both, like, huge. And both really good. So, I feel like that really landed. So, cool. We're now moving into spoiler territory. Also, I don't know if this will come up, but I want to give us allow ourselves to. I don't think we'll spoil anything from Spider-Man 1, but since this chronologically takes place after it, spoilers for Spider-Man OG could show up in here. I don't think they will, but...
I don't know where we would...
But just because this is chronologically afterwards, so I guess I wanted that shouted out, because I feel okay about spoiling backwards.
Yeah, me too, generally. There might be one spoiler in the beginning, where the game kind of starts out.
Yeah.
But it's small and minor. So it just, fair warning.
Yeah, fair warning. It could happen. I don't think we'll talk a ton about it, but I wanted to throw that out there. So, cool. Okay. Before we get into the game itself, one final thing is talking about the characters in the game. I think this is important. I feel like especially with open world games, this can be important because you end up meeting a lot of people in games like this. Yeah. And so I feel like pulling out kind of your main people that are important is good. So, okay, first up, we've got Miles Morales, and he's our playable character. He's trained with Peter for a while, I think about a year. He's also moved from Brooklyn to Harlem after his dad died in the first game. And his...
there was a spoiler.
Yeah, his mom had grown up in Harlem, though, so she went back to her kind of old neighborhood kind of thing. And so this is sort of where he's at. We, of course, have Spider-Man, who is Peter Parker. That's all that's relevant for him, I would say. He is who he is, and you know him.
You know him. You should.
Then we've got Genki Lee. This is Miles' best friend, and in this game takes place, I think, over winter break. And so I think his family's out of town, so he's been staying with Miles a lot. Yep. But he's his best friend. He's like a tech nerd, all of that stuff. Really good with computers, all that. Really good friend as well.
He's a cool guy. Liked him.
Mm-hmm. Then we've got Finn Mason. She's a childhood friend of Miles, but they've had a falling out, not from not wanting to be friends, but I think when Miles maybe moved, they just stopped seeing each other, and so kind of proximities made them a little distant, but they were once best friends. But they're also trying to kind of reconnect at the start of this game. So I think they're both kind of like, oh man, we haven't talked a lot. Let's try to, get our old friendship back. You've got Rio Morales. This is Miles' mother. She's running for city council as well. Then you've got Aaron Davis. This is Miles' estranged uncle, his dad's brother, and they were once close, and then something happened between him and his dad, and so now they're apart, but he's around. You've got Rick Mason. This is Finn's older brother who had raised her, Her parents, I think, had died when she was younger, so her brother stepped in. He was also close with Miles because of being close with Finn, and all three of them were science nerds, so he'd take them to do stuff like that. He was a project lead at Roxxon after college. Roxxon's like a big tech company in the area. Then we've got Simon Krieger. He's the head of research and development at Roxxon. Also, he's voiced by Troy Baker, who we know is like Joel. And
oh, shit.
Yeah,
okay.
So
Nice.
kind of fun to see him in a role like this.
Is he the head of R&D, or is he like the owner of the company? Or both? Probably both.
I think it's both.
Okay. Yeah, because he seems more than just the head of a department.
Yeah,
he's got,
I
like,
think
unlimited power over Roxxon.
Yeah, I agree. He seems like a not as big, but like a Norman Osborn kind of figure.
Yeah, essentially.
Except a company that's less powerful.
Yep.
But still a powerful company.
Yes.
Nonetheless. Lastly, last character I wanted to shout out is Danica Hart. She's a podcast host who's essentially the opposite of J. Jonah Jameson.
Yes.
In the game, from the previous one, Peter listens to J. Jonah Jameson, but Miles instead listens to Danica Hart's podcast, and so she's the opposite. She's like pro Spider-Man. She's a lot of positive towards social issues, wants to make New York City a better place, that sort of stuff.
Yes, very opposite of Jonah Jameson.
Total opposite. And she's also voiced by Ashley Birch, who I, of course, like a lot. Aloy, Chloe, everyone. So
your fave.
My fave. I was excited when she was in this. When this game got announced, and it was announced that she had a voice and Mary Kenny wrote, I was like, yes!
I'm sold.
Both of these people are awesome. I want to play this. Even if I didn't want to play it, I would want to play it because of them. But, double sold. So, those are kind of your main characters. There are a couple other ones, but I would say these are your main people who get involved with your stuff. So, one question before we finally dive in, which is, who's your favorite character in this game? Who did you kind of like the most?
Yeah, so I wrote down something, but I've actually decided since then I'm changing it. I really like Rick. Rick Mason, Finn's brother. You don't get that much time with him, or you see like him in some flashbacks a lot, but he just seemed really cool.
Yeah.
Also, I liked his like beard and shaved head. He was like a cool nerd. I don't know. I just liked him a lot. He seemed like a really good guy, and adds like what happens with him and stuff like adds a lot to the story. I think so. He's pretty pivotal, despite only being in it for like maybe you get 10 minutes of screen time with him.
Right.
But he is one of my favorite characters. I also like Miles and other people too, but I think just kind of going out a little bit farther, he's one of my favorite.
Yeah, he was a really great guy. Like all the scenes you got with him, he was pretty endearing. He seemed like he was a really good brother, but a good caretaker too. And I don't know. He seemed really great. I agree. For me, I wrote down Miles, but then also I liked Miles' support system a lot. So you had like Genki, Danica. She ends up, at first she's podcast support from afar, but then they kind of become friends because there's a part where she's doing like a podcast series on the Underground, who we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
And so Miles is kind of giving her info about it as they go, and they sort of work together. Miles' mom, like I don't know. I know this is listing a lot of characters. So sort of
all the characters,
all of them.
Yeah,
they're all great. But I like this as a thing, because like Peter has people like this. So like Peter would call Yuri, the police officer, when he'd like bust up a warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And then be like, hey, this is just Spider-Man saying there's guys in a warehouse if you
Spider Cop.
yeah, you want to get something, and she's annoyed, but they're kind of allies.
Yeah.
And you get that with Danica for that in that same way as you'll like kind of work on a warehouse together, and then you'll be like, she says, okay, cops are on the way, and you head out, or all of these things. So I like these different versions of the support system, but also it felt different because Miles is in high school. He's like growing up as opposed to Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Like he's an adult.
Yeah, and been doing it for I don't know how many years. They say it in the first game, but I forget.
Yeah,
long time.
Yeah, he'd been doing it a while. Versus Miles is newer to this, and this is also his first time. We'll say it now. Peter Parker's going to go away at the beginning of the game, and
yeah, he dies right away.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
doesn't die, yeah. But that really changes that because that's been his main support system, but then he's gone. So then he has these other ones, and some of them they're each involved in different parts of his life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like, not in the same way that Peter was. So I don't know. I like that. I thought that was cool.
That was cool. I did like them too. But I didn't want to cheat and just say every character like you did. So.
Yeah, I cheated for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Listener feedback on this. Chris on Twitter wrote in and said Finn for sure.
Finn was cool. I liked her too.
Yeah, I did too.
Laura on Twitter says, besides Miles, obviously, I really liked Tinkerer.
Ari on Twitter said Miles.
Casual Opinions on Twitter said Spider-Cat. So, well, you can do the next one.
And then Joan on Twitter said, I think we all know it's Spider-Man the Bodega Cat, which...
I couldn't say that after I read those. I didn't want to steal that.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, there's a side mission you can do where someone robs this like convenience store and they steal a cat who happens to be named Spider-Man, and then you just go and save the cat and do some stuff, and the cat's great.
Yeah, cat is great.
I don't know if you noticed, but so you put the cat in your backpack, and then if you stop moving, the cat's like pawing at the air trying to escape the backpack. Whenever you stop, it's really funny.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's super funny. Yeah, that's awesome. Spider-Cat's great.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Now we'll actually get into the game itself. That was a little more preamble than I thought, but
whatever.
That's okay. Okay, so as mentioned, the game begins a year after the last Spider-Man game, and Miles has been training with Peter. He's grown pretty well into the role of Spider-Man, enough so that Peter is has a lot of trust built in him. It's good, and so the game begins with Miles and Peter following a prison convoy. A bunch of prisoners are getting transferred, including Rhino, who is being carried in like a giant box by a helicopter.
Yeah, it's like a shipping crate, but looks way more techy, and I assume like a lot more thick. And yeah, it's like being carried by some kind of helicopter by a bunch of cables.
Yep. But Rhino manages to break free in it. I think he's like running around inside the box.
Yeah.
And it like snaps the ropes and it falls down. And it falls on the convoy driving below that has a bunch of other prisoners.
Yeah.
So they have a shit show going on. Rhino breaks free. The other prisoners get out. Not going well. And so Peter says he'll take Rhino out. You need to take out all the other prisoners. Be able to help the cops here. So you do that. You take out just regular prisoners. Peter's fighting Rhino. Then you end up joining Peter in the fight with Rhino once all the other prisoners are subdued.
Subdued. Yeah. You beat the shit out of a bunch of escaped convicts.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And in the fight, Peter ends up getting hurt pretty badly by Rhino. He gets smashed against a wall and can't get up.
Yeah. He's fucked.
Yeah, he's not doing well. And so you're like, okay, I've got to handle this. And you are fighting Rhino, and then you unlock your electrical abilities that you didn't know you had.
Yep.
So you've been Spider-Man for a year, but this has never happened. But I don't know, this moment causes it. I guess you're in enough danger or something, it brings it out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because he would have no chance against Rhino by himself. So then it's happens. He calls it Venom power. It's yellowish orange electricity, which I assume there's some kind of spider that somehow uses something like this. That bit him, and he's got it now.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. So he essentially can do an electric Falcon punch.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And so you end up doing that on Rhino and being able to knock him out and win the boss fight. While this boss fight is going on too, you got kind of led around New York City by Rhino before this fight happened. And so you're on Roxxon property. And so you kind of take Rhino out, and then Roxxon shows up with a bunch of their guards, and they're like, oh, thank you for protecting our property. We've got you. Simon Krieger's there, this I guess head of R&D, but he seems like he's also the CEO. I don't know. He's the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, thanks for saving our property. You helped protect our business. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll take care of this till the police get here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you and Peter head off and celebrate being Spider-Man by having pizza.
We are both Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Let's eat pizza.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so in this conversation, though, Peter lets Miles know you've really, handled this well being Spider-Man. I feel okay about leaving New York City for a few weeks. It's in good hands with you because I'm going to go overseas with Mary Jane and work as her photographer overseas on this like big project she's doing for the newspaper I think she works at or whatever. And so they'll be gone, and he lets you know that you can hold down being Spider-Man. I believe in you. I have a gift for you. Also, if you really need me, if it gets super bad, you can call me and I could be back in a day or two. But I will be kind of out there, so good luck and I believe in you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
So Miles then after this calls his friend Genki and lets him know what's up.
So he told Genki about him being Spider-Man. At this point, you know that right away.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like this is the time he's telling him he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He already knows.
Yep.
That's already part of their friendship. And that Peter left him a gift. And it's and so it's kind of like, okay, cool. And Genki's like, all right, you're ready to be Spider-Man like alone? And you're like, yeah, I think so. And Peter left me this gift. I'm gonna go check it out. So you start web slinging along the way. I think part of what you got given was a new uniform too, right?
Yeah, that's like the main thing actually.
Okay. And then the things around the city.
The training hologram things.
Yeah. So it's two things. It's two things. It's a suit, and then also you're gonna have to go to part 2 of the gift. That's right. And so you have your Spider-Man suit and you're going, and you realize that Peter sets the radio stations to J. Jonah Jameson
Even
on
in
the
his new
suits,
suit, yeah.
on his own suits, and you're like, oh, he's a masochist. That's weird.
Yeah.
But he just loves listening to this.
It's really funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. And so he changes it, and he's like, I'm not listening to this. I don't want to deal with this. And that's how you end up finding the Danica Hart podcast. She's really pro Spider-Man, so you already see Miles has some different vibes than Peter.
Yes.
So he does that. He then gets the location for part 2 of the gift, which is training exercises that Peter's made. So he's put up all these like hologram teaching modules around the city, and you can go to them, and then it will like teach you how to do this type of fight or do this thing. And so just gives you kind of tutoring while he's away.
Yep. Yeah, it's like hologram training sessions, and I think the more you do of them, the more skills. I think you can unlock certain skills only by doing stuff like this. I didn't do all of them, so I'm not sure, but
I didn't do.
I looked at the skills menu, and I think there's some stuff you had to get, or you could only get by completing these.
Okay, yeah, because there are the 3 like bottom things on your tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't do very many of any of those.
Same, yeah.
I was like, I'll focus on building the tree though through XP and stuff, like the other stuff.
That's what I did too, yeah.
So you do a little bit of your training exercise, but then a bunch of criminals show up. So then you have to beat them up and do.
Yep. You just kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, and part of what this brings, I think, from the training exercise is you get 2 like hologram things.
Yeah, you get like hologram web things that you can shoot it creates like a hologram that can like fight people, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that it's not just a distraction, looks like it, but it'll actually like beat bad guys up. So you kind of have this going on while you're fighting these bad guys.
Yeah, like fighting bad guys and fighting holograms. You can also shoot holograms and they fight them. It's like it's chaos.
Yeah, definitely wild. So you do that, you're all good. From here, after this, Genki gives you a call, lets you know that there's a break-in at Roxxon Plaza. So you're like, okay, cool, I'll go check this out. And when you go down there, you end up walking up to a display that there's a recording going that talks about new form. And new form is this new type of energy that Roxxon's developed that my understanding is it's really powerful but cheap. And so Roxxon Plaza is in Harlem, and their kind of goal is that if you just use new form here, you could like power all of Harlem, but for like really cheap, and it would be really beneficial.
It's really clean too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like nuclear energy, but it uses like a reactor, and it's it's not just oil or electricity. It's something sciencey and special.
Yeah,
describe it.
That's more or less how it sounds. So it basically seems like it's like, oh, this new thing that could be, I don't really
the future of energy.
Yeah, the future of energy, and Harlem gets to be the first place to see if it can run its whole neighborhood, kind of thing.
Yep.
And then, while Miles is investigating around, he sees that the criminal had looked up Newform on a computer, and then he gets attacked by this group called the Underground, which is sort of the new gang that's risen up.
Yeah.
Because in the last game, you had you
had the demons.
The demons, and then there was another gang before them, right?
I think it was just Fisk's.
Fisk's people were before that, then the demons rose in their place.
Yeah.
And now the underground has kind of shown up in both of those people's places.
Yeah.
Because of how Game 1 went.
Yeah, and they have a lot of fancy tech weapons. Mm-hmm. So the demons in the first game had I don't know how you describe it. Magic kind of weapons.
Yeah.
These guys are similar, but it's all tech.
Yeah.
So they're pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them are pretty tough. But so you fight a couple of the underground, and you also hear them mention their leader called the Tinkerer. And so you kind of have this sort of out there as, okay, there's a new crew kind of on the scene who's trying to step into this void, because in the first game, right, when Fisk gets arrested, there's a void. The demons step into that, and then the cycle has continued. A new bad crew has kind of stepped in.
Yep.
After this, you're like, okay, this is something to kind of keep my eye on. You then head home for Christmas dinner, and Miles has a nice dinner with his mom and Genki, and his old childhood friend Finn was able to come for Christmas.
Yeah, I think his mom invites her. It's a surprise.
Yeah, because Miles doesn't expect it.
Yeah.
And it's nice. They all get to kind of have fun together. Also, this is, I think this is the first Christmas that his dad hasn't been there. So, that the family is able to do this different kind of Christmas, make good memories and enjoy it. It's nice. You also, Rio talks a little bit about her campaign for city council. Finn is kind of sad seeming, but you don't know why. But her and Miles make plans to meet up later this week to be able to kind of just continue to reconnect, as it's been a little while. The last kind of thing that happens here is you find out that Genki's made a Spider-Man app where people can request help. So you can just log on to the app, and there'll be requests from people like, I need Spider-Man's help, this thing happened. And this ends up, you end up getting your first request. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
The next little section, you get your first request. But before that, following this, you'll just have this app, and it'll just have requests kind of all over town, and you can help as many random people as you want to. Mm-hmm. Or not. You can also not do these if you want. But,
yeah.
They do have it be a main mission for the first one, which is you get a request from the train station. The trains are having some issues, and someone puts out, SOS, Spider-Man, could you help out with this? So you head there, and you find out that the person who put in the request is Uncle Aaron, that he works at the train station. And so Miles has kind of this first moment of, I can't tell my uncle I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah, he also hasn't seen him in a while, because they're kind of estranged.
Right. And so he's like, okay, Uncle Aaron. He's like, all right, Uncle Aaron, I'll do that. He's like, wait, no, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, he has to try to act a little different. And
yeah.
I think this is the first time he's encountered someone he knows who doesn't know he's Spider-Man kind of thing. Genki knows both sides, but anyone else has, it's not like he's talked to his mom as Spider-Man and he has to keep his cover. So this is the first time this has shown up for him, I think.
Yep.
Since being Spider-Man. And Aaron lets you know that the Underground had been sabotaging the train tracks, and so he asks you to look into it. Maybe there's something going on. You end up finding that they were trying to set some bombs on the track.
Yep.
You end up fighting the Underground. You deal with them. You get the trains back working. You have to move some, do some puzzles to move them onto tracks. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah. But then when your conversation ends, Aaron reveals that he knows that you're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, Miles, I'll see you. And you're like,
Like, what?
yeah.
And he gives you a free subway pass. So it unlocks fast travel, too.
Yeah. So then you can ride the subway anywhere you want. And he also lets you know that your secret's safe with him. He's not going to tell anyone you're Spider-Man. You're all good. So, cool. After this, you go meet up with Finn, and you find an old time capsule that you and her had put somewhere. And it's got an award that you guys have for winning a science fair project, I think at the end of 8th grade.
Yeah.
And your project was like a big deal. You got an award. It got put in a museum.
Yeah, it was like a energy converter or something like that.
Yeah. And that's kind of cool. They're both a little excited about seeing that again. Like, oh, this is what we put in there. That's cool. And then they also try to talk a little bit about why they've fallen out. But neither of them are honest with each other, and they both kind of know it.
Yeah.
Like, Miles is like, oh, can you, like, tell me what's really going on? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it, but maybe when you're ready, talk about what's going on with you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm not going to tell you I'm Spider-Man. So,
yeah, not right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so then you, like, make plans. Like, all right, well, let's hang out again. Next time, no secrets.
yeah. So, overall, I would say a positive reconnection.
Yes.
But also kind of knowing that there's hesitancy between the two of you.
Yes.
After this, Miles goes to head to his mother's rally against Roxxon. So I guess that's part of her, like, aim for going towards city council is being anti-Roxxon. I think there's probably... I'm guessing there's a lot of skepticism about, like, someone like Roxxon coming into Harlem and trying to change the city, and you're like, we don't really trust you, or, like, I think there's some kind of bad vibes.
Yes. Yep, definitely.
So she has this campaign to go against Roxxon, and she's, giving a speech, kind of running this, but the rally gets interrupted because the Tinker and the Underground show up to fight Roxxon in the middle of this. And so this fight goes down. Miles runs off and is like, all right, I got to be Spider-Man and defuse this situation. He switches and he starts fighting some of the Underground people helping Roxxon in this. But then a bridge nearby explodes. And you realize that this was a diversion. The attack, the fight at the rally to fight Roxxon was to get all eyes over here because on the bridge, New Form was being moved.
That's what they really want.
A giant shipment. That's what they actually want. They're trying to steal the New Form. And so Miles has to get over to the bridge, and he's fighting his way there. He ends up getting there, and the Tinker is there getting ready to steal the New Form. And Miles ends up using his Falcon Electric Punch, and blowing up a lot of the New Form.
Yep, and the bridge as a result too.
Yeah, like part of the bridge blows up as well. And in this fight, it's also revealed that the Tinker is Finn.
Yeah, big reveal.
Yeah, you see her face. Miles sees her face, which I was really glad about.
Yes.
I was a little afraid it would be in a spot where you would know that she's the Tinker, but Miles wouldn't have figured it out. Instead, he does, but he can't acknowledge that he knows it's her.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And I thought that was really good. They played that really, really well.
Yep.
Because I was a little suspicious, I was suspicious earlier. I think it maybe even when you met the Tinker, you're like, oh, that's Finn.
Yeah.
You were pretty sure. So I'm glad this reveal happened really early.
Yes.
I think that they did a very good job doing it this way.
Yeah, and it adds a lot to the story. It becomes a main focal point. Miles knows, and how does he handle that?
Yeah, I thought they did a great job with that. Instead of, if it was a real 3/4 through, Miles figures it out and he's like, oh, you're the Tinker?
Yeah, oh, we've known, dude.
Yeah, I think that would have been harder to play as, of him trying to track that down. But instead it gets revealed. I thought that was really great. But in the reveal, you find out Tinker is Finn, and she manages to steal a little bit of New Form and run off. She sends in other Underground people. You have to kind of fight them after the explosion. You fight some of them, and then you end up saving some civilians, getting them out of harm's way as the bridge is going down. This is pretty wild, having to do some different, like, very Spider-Man moves to save people, which were fun.
They're very much, they're all, like, from movies. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, there's one where you, like, dive through a bus. I'm pretty sure that was from The Amazing Spider-Man with, what's his name? Andrew Garfield.
Okay.
I think. There's one where you, like, pull the bridges together with webs. That was from Spider-Man... The first one with...
The Tobey Maguire one?
No.
Oh.
Far From Home? The first Spider-Man, Homecoming, with...
Tom Holland?
Yes, God, thank you.
Okay.
And then there's another one, too. But, so yeah, they're all, like...
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if they meant to do that, but it was that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that a thing that I have that's... it's funny that I knew all the actors' names, but I've only seen probably the 2 Tobey Maguire ones.
3.
Well, I've only seen 2.
Well, good. The third one's not good.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I haven't seen any. I think that's something that's kind of funny with Spider-Man stuff is everything is new information to me. Mm-hmm. So, like, the bad guys in the first game, when they'd get revealed, I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, who's that guy? The only one I did know about was the Doctor, because he's, like, culturally known.
Yeah, him. Who else? The other bad guy, I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of fun. And for these, like, I know that these are characters from the comics and different things like that, but I'm like, I don't know about any of this stuff, so everything's new to me, which is kind of fun. And I think because of that, I guess a side note is that they, I think, explain these things usually pretty well, because I'm not someone with pre-knowledge. I'm, like, aware of Spider-Man because he's culturally known, and I've had minimal... Like, I've seen some movies 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Long time ago.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I'm not there at all. But I think it really... That stuff works out. So, I don't know. And I'm sure, as in, like you said, pulling those, you're like, oh, I recognize these. Because you're into Spider-Man and watch the stuff.
Seen the movies, yep.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm not familiar, but I'm like, that was cool. And, like, feels like a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if I haven't seen it. But yeah, you save some civilians. This is good. But then Roxxon tries to arrest you on the bridge. And they're like, Spider-Man blew this bridge up. And you're like...
They're either going to arrest you or shoot you.
Yeah, yeah.
Either and or, you know.
Yeah, they seemed like they would be pretty fine killing you if they needed to. I think it was you blew this bridge up and you destroyed the new form. And you're like, so Tinker wouldn't have it.
Yeah, like, come on, man. And then you also just saved a bunch of civilians, and they're all like, what are you doing? He just saved us. And they were like, some guy tries to record it, and they're like, turn that camera off. Like,
yeah, Roxxon's definitely using power.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All of that.
They're also not the police, so they can't really do this.
No, yeah. They're way out of bounds.
Yeah.
And when Miles is about to get arrested, he discovers that he can become invisible.
Must be another kind of spider power, I assume.
Yeah, this power also exists. It's not long term though; it's temporary.
Yeah.
So, and also you're not like hollow; you're just not seen.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So like, if you stayed in the same spot and they like shot there or touched you, you would get hit.
Yes.
But he uses this as an opportunity to swing away. Mm-hmm. So he does that. The next day, he gets home. His mom had gone to the hospital when the rally got attacked. She broke her arm.
Yeah, had like her wrist or something.
Yeah. But she's determined to continue her campaign. She doesn't want to back down to Roxxon even after a bad thing like this. And Miles is feeling a bit of conflict that his mom was in danger. This stuff's going on. And then, of course, that his friend is the Tinkerer.
Yes.
This is really bad. And so he talks with Genki and they kind of try to figure out what to do. And Genki gives you the advice to be Spider-Man in your own way. Mm-hmm. That, you know, you don't have to be Pete. You don't have to do the things Pete would do. I don't know. That you have the right, desires in mind and you'll figure it out.
Yep.
And the main thing that happens from this is I think it gives some inspiration to you, but you also make a cool new suit.
Yes.
So you have the Miles Morales suit where it's like black and black and red.
Really cool looking.
Really cool. Instead of, before this, you've been, it's the little Spider-Man kind of thing. Like you're wearing the same thing as Peter, but you're not as big.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And so, you know, I don't think Miles is jealous of it, but I think he just doesn't feel like his own thing.
Yeah.
So I think this is his spot of, I get to feel like my own thing. So from here, Miles is like, okay, I gotta figure out what's up with Finn and the Tinkerer, because, you know, this is a big deal. We blew up a bridge.
Yeah.
Well, they did. I didn't really mean to, at least, but...
Yes.
So Miles goes to an old repair shop that Finn's family used to own to try to investigate further. Maybe I'll find a clue here. And he's looking around, and he ends up finding like a secret room, and finds out that Rick Mason, her brother, had created Newform. But when he created it, it had gotten him and his team sick from it. So this is a dangerous product that it can be really harmful to you. I think it gave him like bone marrow disease.
Bone marrow cancer, yeah. It's like, that's pretty bad.
No, and like pretty rapid too. I think it wasn't like a...
Yeah, it seemed like it was a few months or something.
Yeah, and it was like a harsh effect pretty quickly.
Yep.
Kind of thing. And you also find out that Rick and Finn had went to Roxxon to destroy Newform. Rick had this kind of realization, this is getting me sick, this is getting my team sick. Roxxon doesn't want to introduce safety measures. They don't care about this. They want to get this rolled out to the public as quick as possible because they see this as a big moneymaker, and who cares who gets sick in the process. So Rick doesn't want to be a part of this. He doesn't want to be a part of something he created hurting other people. So he's like, this needs destroyed. I'll do whatever it takes to do it.
And
I'm the only one who knows how to make it. So if I get rid of all of it, and they don't have my work, then it's just over.
Yep.
So him and Finn had gone there to destroy it. They were going to break into Roxxon and get rid of it. But you find out it went badly. And that in this, Finn got away, but lost a phone she was using to record this, because they were gonna... Their goal was, if we don't make this out, we'll just publish this on YouTube, so it'll like get seen everywhere. Roxxon will still go down, even if we go down too.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But Finn lost the phone, but did manage to escape. And Rick dies, but you don't really know what happened.
Yeah, or you assume he's dead, but you don't. He just doesn't come back with her.
Yeah, he doesn't come back. He's gone, I guess. And so, okay, that's sort of where you're at. So Miles is trying to kind of come up with the next kind of game plan here. But more of the underground show up. So he has to beat them up. He does. And then he decides that he's going to go to track Finn's phone that she'd lost in there, because that would have the evidence you need, and you could, accomplish their plan.
Yep. Just end it right there.
Yeah. So you break into Roxxon, and while you're inside, you get confronted by the Prowler, who's another superhero. And he finds out that the Prowler is his Uncle Aaron.
Yeah.
And that he's trying to talk Miles out of this.
Yeah, so he's like a kind of like a Batman guy, a bunch of tech. And he's more of like a high class, like a really fancy burglar, I think, or like assassin potentially.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a superhero, but he has like the skills and gear of a superhero.
Right, yeah. I guess you're right. He's not good.
Yeah.
He's definitely a bad guy who does shitty things. And this is why your dad and him had a falling out, because your dad was a police officer.
And Aaron tells him at some point, he's like, that's fucked up, dude. Yeah,
so that's why they had a falling out, because his dad knew who he really was, who his brother really was, kind of thing. But Uncle Aaron's like, this isn't your thing, don't do this. And you're like, no, I'm going to do it. And he's like, fine, I'll help you then.
Yeah.
So that you don't get caught, because Roxxon's like serious stuff.
Yes.
Because he'd worked at Roxxon before.
Yeah, he was like they would use him to do things that were illegal, I assume.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. And maybe he'd had a day job there, or at least Miles thought he'd had a day job there.
Yeah. Because
Aaron was able to be like, okay, well, I know how to do this or that here, so I will guide you. So he sort of acts as your advisor as you go through Roxxon. Yeah. You ultimately make it to like the chamber where the Newform was kept, and you find the phone. You're able to use your electricity to watch it. You watch the video, and you find out Rick Mason was killed by Simon Krieger when you were trying to he was trying to take the new form out. So they were gonna kind of, I think, overload the reactor or something to blow the new form up.
Yep.
But instead, when some of that was going, Simon Krieger like puts this like shield barrier up that seals Rick inside.
Yep.
That kills him, but Finn like hides and jumps down into like a shaft, and no one thinks she's there because he can't like see her. Simon Krieger couldn't see her on the camera. So you just kind of hear / see Rick die.
Yeah, he like gets vaporized essentially.
Yeah. And Simon Krieger's like, all right, well, cool, we stopped that mess.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And you're
Heartless.
like,
Ruthless.
you're like, okay, this dude's bad.
Yeah, objectively.
That he will just kill someone. And from here, you are like, okay, this is the evidence we need. Gonna escape. You and Uncle Aaron end up teaming up, fighting Roxxon people. In your escape, the phone gets destroyed, I think, from you...
the electric power.
Yeah, the electric power fries the phone.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate. You lost your evidence that you went and got.
Yeah.
And then after this, you get more advice from Uncle Aaron. He tells you that you shouldn't tell Finn that you know anything about her being the Tinkerer, but instead go undercover as Miles and try to join the Underground, because then you could find out where things are from the inside. Because really what you want is you need to get rid of that new form so that the new form can't hurt anyone else. That's kind of your goal. After you have this conversation with Aaron, you like web swing away, and then
I think that's it.
That's later.
Yeah.
You web swing away. Cool. From here, the next day or whatever, Miles goes and meets up with Finn, and goes to her and says, "I understand why you're doing this. You've got to take Roxxon down. They're bad people." Essentially affirming her being part of the Underground, and says, "I want in.
Yeah.
I want to help you. I believe in what you're doing." And so she says, "Okay, like, I have some power here, but I don't have like all the power. So you're gonna have to prove to the Underground that you should be there." What the kind of test of initiation is if you're willing to climb up this crane and then jump over to an old Fisk building.
Yeah.
Because while Fisk is gone and in jail, the Underground has just kind of moved into his old spots.
All his stuff, yeah.
And been like, cool, no one's going to come around here, so this is our spot. But you jump from this crane to a tower to kind of show that you're without fear, sort of thing. But you also have to not do it too good and reveal you're Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's like a point where it's like, all right, how do I make this look good? So he like kind of stumbles while he's walking on the crane to make it look like he is scared, but obviously he's not.
Right, yeah, he's like, I don't know if you know this, but I do this all the time.
Yeah, literally all the time.
So you do that. You pass the test. Inside, Finn has to deal with something right away to talk to some like Underground leader, and so Miles gets to just snoop around for a while.
Yeah, look at all the things.
Yeah, so he's kind of looking around. Okay, this is what they have set up here. Here's what they have set up. You find out here. I mean, you've gotten the vibe a little bit from fighting a lot of people, but the Underground's big.
Yeah,
they have a lot of people in their crew.
Yep.
And you do that for a while, and you kind of figure out, okay, the new form's not in any of these spots, but you have some ideas of where it might be. You hear people talk about downstairs. So you're like, okay, it might be there. You then meet back up with Finn when she's done with that, and you're like, my mom called, I have to leave.
Yeah, super suspicious.
Yeah, which I thought was very suspicious.
My mom called, I gotta go home.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, I thought this was a bad lie and kind of stupid, even. Because then you like go sneak into your Miles, your Spider-Man suit, and then you do Spider-Man shit. And I'm like...
Minutes after you leave, quote
unquote.
Yeah,
I was like, if you're not like telling on yourself, I don't know what is. Like this...
Yeah, I feel like you should have just stayed for a little bit and then come back later that night as Spider-Man or something.
Yeah, I feel like this could have been executed better.
Sure.
They resolve it kind of well within the scene. Like it's not lingering after this, but I thought it was bad move on Miles' part.
Yeah, it's like kind of reveals like, dude, you're just trying to figure out how to do this whole thing. Yeah,
that's true. I guess that, because I wouldn't think like if Peter was in this situation, he probably would do something smarter, like we talked about, come back that night. But I think Miles being maybe being new to this, I think you're right. That's a good call. But so then Miles keeps snooping around as Spider-Man, and you're like, all right, this is kind of unwise. He ends up figuring out where the new form is, and also has to fight through like the underground training ground.
Yeah, there's a lot of people you have to beat up.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Spider-Man has to beat up a bunch of people in the hideout. Yeah, I feel like you really revealed yourself.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, he ultimately makes it to the new form, and he's about to take it, but then he has to fight Tinkerer after she takes it. Mm-hmm. You end up in a chase with Tinkerer, kind of fighting each other around the city. Eventually, there's a part where you're on top of a building, and she's got you pinned, and
She's like a sword at your neck.
yeah, and is about to kill you, and it's like, give me one reason I shouldn't kill you, Spider-Man. And you're like, it's Miles.
Surprise.
It's me.
She's like, all right, that's a good reason.
Yeah, and she's like, all right, I'm really hurt
Yeah.
that all of these things that happened just did.
Yeah.
I guess I won't kill you. And then she leaves.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad this got revealed. Again,
Yeah.
Same thing as earlier. I think that the reveals in this game are done really well. With people now all the cards are on the table.
Yeah.
Which is good. For kind of the parties involved. So, okay. Everyone knows who's everyone. So now Miles is bummed out about what's gone on. That Finn is committed to new form, using this to hurt Roxxon, and that she doesn't trust you, and she blew up a bridge, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Miles is having a hard time with this. Like, you were my close friend, and you're also this.
Yeah. Two very conflicting things, people.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. How are you my childhood friend and the Tinkerer, and evidence is of good and bad on those sides or whatever.
Yeah.
So he seeks out Uncle Aaron to talk about this. Uncle Aaron's the Prowler. He knows about dealing with this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you. And one thing that happens here is Aaron tells him to have other interest outside of being Spider-Man. And this is what gives you like another collectible task type deal.
Yeah.
Which is Aaron tells you about a mixtape that him and your dad were making. And that the idea was we'd have like the sounds of the street would be part of it. And so there would be certain areas around the city where you could record a sound that you could like sample. Miles, I guess, does some...
Makes beats.
Yeah, makes beats, does stuff like this. And so Aaron's like, hey, here's like, I have... your dad had the masters. I have some of the demos. But I've put together these locations. You could track these down and kind of complete the mixtape we wanted to make. Mm-hmm. Which is cool. Miles seems about it. And, gives him another idea sort of thing. Then also, Miles, in this conversation, sets up a time to meet with Finn.
Like a when and where.
Yeah, let's meet at this church tomorrow. I want to, give me one more chance to talk to you about what's going on. And you do that, and Aaron seems supportive of that. He's like, cool, you should do that. Again, I think you should have interest outside of Spider-Man, but, I want to help you. I'm there for you. Mm-hmm. Then you leave, and then Aaron secretly calls on the phone and says, okay, they're both going to be there at this church at this time. Remember, don't touch the boy.
Yeah.
But you can have her.
Yeah.
I don't
like,
care.
ooh, fucked up, man.
Like,
questionable.
Yeah.
You're with Roxxon, I assume.
Yeah. I was like, yikes, this isn't good.
Yeah.
You then pick up with Miles and Finn at this church. And they get ambushed by Rhino and Roxxon, and they get captured.
So you find out Roxxon's like didn't give Rhino back to the police at all, and they've just given him a new suit, and now he's just working for them somehow.
Yeah. Yep. You get knocked out and you both get captured. So this is big. While you're captured, you are in a room that's locked up, right? You're behind some walls.
Yeah, you're in like this holding cell type thing.
Because they're going to torture you for info. Because they can't get your mask off.
Yeah, because it's got like a... Simon Krieger tries to pull it off and it shocks him.
Mm-hmm. So your identity is kept secret, but Finn's is not. They know who Finn is now, and they're like, oh, okay, you're Rick Mason's sister.
Yep.
In this, I don't know if Miles sees this, but we see it as the audience. Prowler shows up at Roxxon.
Yeah, he does.
And talks to Simon Krieger and says, "You broke our deal. You were only supposed to take the girl. You're supposed to leave the boy alone." And Simon Krieger's like, "Well, you know, I wasn't supposed to, but I did. And, you know, what are you going to do about it, Prowler? If you say anything about what's gone on, you were part of that. You'll get in trouble, too."
Yeah, you'll go down with me.
Yeah, you'll go down with me.
Fuck.
And so Prowler's sort of stuck. He can't really do much. Finn and Miles are able to escape, though. They end up, I think, knocking out some guards to be able to get unlocked. They escape. They end up fighting Rhino. Rhino is tougher. Like you said, he has this new suit that's electric resistant.
Yeah, so you can't just venom punch him and fuck him up.
And you see that with this, and it also happens with the Roxxon employees, but they're adapting to your skills.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, okay, Spider-Man can electric punch now. Let's make our stuff hard to electric punch. We'll make it resistant to that, you know, that sort of stuff. So, which makes them feel all the more shady. Like they're adjusting to you because they intend on fighting you or think you will get in their way.
Yeah, they're definitely bad.
Yeah. Like,
100% bad.
Yeah, they're already bad before this, but just that they're, I don't know, more thorough than like you know, when you do the crimes and you're just fighting like robbers, like they don't have a chance.
Yeah.
But like these dudes have like stormtrooper suits and like they're all
crazy weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to kill you.
Yeah. But you do the fight. You fight Rando, Roxxon people. You fight Rhino. And near the end of the fight, Rhino taunts Finn pretty hard and is like, "Oh, Simon told me all about how your brother whined when he killed him."
Yeah.
And so Finn is about to kill Rhino.
She stabs him, I think.
Yeah, and I think she's gonna like chop his head off.
Yeah.
She was ready to do it, but then you fight her. Miles Morales fights her, and is like, "You can't do that. We don't kill people." Which I imagine she's killed people before this, but
Oh, for sure.
it seems like it. At least adjacently.
Yeah, at least has provided the Underground with a shit ton of weapons to kill people.
Yeah.
So she's maybe not by her own hand, but she's certainly helped.
Yeah. But Miles stops her. She then beats the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And says, "I'm not going to change my mind on this. Roxxon has to go down. Justice needs served. I need my vengeance," like that sort of thing.
Yeah, and she's like, "Never talk to me again. Next time I see you, I'm going to kill you."
Yeah. And she like beats the shit out of you. Miles is like rocked.
Yeah.
He's really hurt.
Yep.
You then pick up with injured Miles back at his house, getting helped by Genki. Like, he's not doing well. His mom discovers that he's Spider-Man in this because he's like in the spider suit and like
at home fucked up.
Beat the fuck up. Like, he's hurting. And she's really concerned with that. Like, you know, I don't want to lose you too. Like that sort of thing. It's pretty sad and is a good, like, I think a good moment because she also knows, like, just like I can't stop city council, just like your dad couldn't stop with the police stuff. I know you
Yeah, like you have to do this.
You have to do this. I understand why you have to, but I wish you wouldn't.
Yeah, she's like supportive, but also
safe.
like very like be very careful.
Yeah, and so you kind of have this moment, and then from here you're like, well, all right, we need to do everything we can because Newform, like, this is gonna get really bad because the reactor. So Finn wants to, I think, basically go to Roxxon Plaza, put the Newform in there, but make it explode.
Yeah, and in her mind, it's going to just blow up Roxxon Plaza because she's run a bunch of numbers on it, and that's what it should do.
Right.
But you find out that Simon Krieger's, like, made the reactor unstable to, like, accelerate the process so he can, like, get it out there. So it's actually going to blow up all of Harlem.
Yeah.
Which Finn doesn't know or doesn't believe Miles about.
Yeah, Finn doesn't... I think Finn... Yeah, it's one of the two. Either every time Miles tries to tell her, she won't listen, and he never gets to say it, or he says it and she doesn't believe him.
Yeah, because he's lied to her before.
Yeah, so everyone kind of assumes their duties. Rio and Genki, they're going to go around Harlem getting everyone out. Like, it could blow.
Yeah.
If Miles can't stop it, it could blow up Harlem. Miles is going to go and try and stop Finn. And so they each have, as Spider-Man, even though he's beat up, like, I gotta try to do this. And so you head to Roxxon to try to do this. However, you get captured by Uncle Aaron as Prowler. And he tries to talk you out of it. He says, just let Finn in the underground and Roxxon and Krieger kill each other. Who cares? Let this be their problem. And you're like...
Yeah, he just is worried. I mean, you know, I understand in his own ways, like, don't die. Like, I can't let you die. Like, your brother or your dad died. Like, I can't let this happen.
Right, yeah. So you feel that Aaron, I think, cares, but he's cautious, and he largely cares about, like, his family. Like, that.
Yeah.
That's about it. He's like, he doesn't seem as concerned with Harlem
No, not
itself.
at all. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about that.
He doesn't really care. It's more, you got to watch out for the people you love, sort of thing. Which
Yeah.
I can see where he's coming from, even though he's wrong.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, let the bad people deal with themselves. Like, is sort of his attitude. You resist this. You end up having to fight him, and you beat him. You like web him to the wall once you finish fighting him.
Yeah.
And you're like, Uncle Aaron, I have to do this. I have to try. You know, you need to be able to risk it for people you care about. You can't protect people forever. Like, you should risk things for things that are worth it. This is worth it.
Yep.
Sort of attitude. So you head to Roxxon Plaza.
Well, I think first you go to like the
museum?
Science Museum, yeah.
Right.
The Oscorp Science Museum or whatever.
You go there because you think that the key piece that Finn will need to be able to kind of pull off the blowing up of Roxxon Plaza would have to do with your science fair project.
Yeah, which is kind of fucked up. I was like, come on.
Yeah, and also feels like she's specifically doing this as a dagger to you.
Yes.
Which I think she probably is. Yeah. I'm sure she could do this an easier way, but she wants it to hurt you too.
Yeah.
So you go to the museum to kind of confirm it's gone. When you're there, you get a flashback of the science fair project day. And it's nice. It's nice them being friends. They get to enjoy this museum.
Did you see Peter and Dr.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Octavius.
Yeah, they were there too.
They're walking around and you don't know each other, but you bump into them.
Yeah.
When you finally get up to your project, you go. Rick is there. He like surprises you, takes a picture with you, is super supportive and nice. And I think that's it. You don't take it. It's already gone, right?
Yeah, no, it's gone.
It's already gone, yeah. So you get there and you kind of confirm it's gone. So, all right, from here, now you have to head down to Roxxon Plaza. And there's really a battle going on in Harlem at this point. You've got the underground and you've got Roxxon fighting each other in the street. It's crazy. For me, this is a thing I really like in games. I love when there's just a shitload of NPCs just killing each other everywhere, and you're part of it. I really, really like that because it feels like, you know, you're going to get involved and fuck everything up, fuck everyone up. But before that, it's like, it's just existing without you. You see people hurting, like shooting each other and fighting each other and all that. It's cool.
It's chaos, yep. They're like fucking up the city.
Yeah, the city's getting destroyed. Everyone, you know, both of them have these crazy tech weapons. They're just, blowing shit up. You end up fighting a bunch of them kind of on each side. They both want to hurt you. So if you like knocked all the Roxxon guys, the underground would attack you, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So you're just knocking them all out while they're also attacking each other. And I think it's through a video screen, right? Simon Krieger doesn't care if Finn blows up Roxxon Plaza. Basically, it's going to make me sympathetic. Oh, we got attacked by terrorists. Like,
yeah. He also said, like, it's like, we just bought this place. You know the kind of insurance money we're going to get from this? He's like, blow it up. It's like, dude, you're fucked up, man.
Yeah, he's bad.
Yeah.
He's not worried at all. He doesn't care that, I don't know, people that work for him will die. Any of it. Doesn't matter. While you're in the midst of the chaos that's going on here, Prowler shows up. And helps Rio and Genki save people as well, which was cool. He comes around and Uncle Aaron joins. Yeah. And they're saving people. You manage to get to Finn finally after fighting your way through the streets and have a fight with her. And you're kind of continually trying to tell her, like, this will blow Harlem up. Like, this, you're going to do a lot worse damage. You're not going to hurt just Roxxon. You're going to hurt everyone. Like, and in your fight, there's finally a part where she kind of recognizes what goes on. It's almost like the cloud is removed from her. Yeah,
there's like a part, like the reactor's like pulsing, and it sends like a shockwave out way past Roxxon Plaza and blows up buildings. She's like, oh shit.
Yeah. And so it's sort of that, she's almost like woken up. She's like, oh fuck, this is bad. I would never want to hurt just regular. Like, I didn't want this.
Yeah.
We need to stop this. And so Miles absorbs the new form with that's part of his electric powers. He can absorb energy.
Yeah.
So he absorbs it.
There's a shit ton of energy, though.
There's a ton, and it's really hurting him. Like, each time he's absorbed energy, it hurts him, but it's kind of indeterminate for how long. So sometimes he's messed up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Other times it's more. This time it's more. He's not doing well.
Yeah, and he has to, like, release it, essentially, because he can't... It's, like, fucking him up.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, if you shook something up almost, and, like, it has to explode at some point. Like, you can't just wait it out, kind of thing. And so he's like, all right, Finn, go help get people away. I'll just absorb it here. I'll let it out here, and, Harlem will be, whatever gets taken out will, but go help save people. And she's like, you can't do this. You're, like, way, way too hurt. This isn't going to work. And so instead she says, I have a different idea. And so she grabs you and flies up to the sky way above New York City in the clouds and is like, you can release it here now. And he doesn't want to. She's like, no, do it. So Miles releases the energy above the city.
It's a giant explosion. Yeah.
Huge explosion. So it won't hurt anyone. And Miles falls to the ground. He's on the ground looking really rough.
Yeah, he's bad. Yep.
Rio and other people come and they kind of run to where they saw Spider-Man crash into the ground.
His mask's off at this point.
Yeah.
Because it was, like, broken.
Yeah, it broke during the fight with Finn. And they all run around him and, Spider-Man dead, is my son dead? Like, oh. And a news crew shows up and they're like, did you see Spider-Man? And the people all block Spider-Man's way so he can run away. And they're like, no, we didn't see anything.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of feel of, he's our Spider-Man, the people of Harlem.
Yeah.
Really cool. I like this moment a lot.
Yeah, he's the Harlem Spider-Man.
Yeah. Really cool. Like, that they felt protected because they are. But, like, yeah, love it. That Harlem feels that way. They block the news. Miles gets away and escapes. Finally, you get sort of an epilogue to end your game. You find out that Aaron turned himself in to take down Roxxon and Simon Krieger. And they're going to go away for a long time because of the things they've done. And Aaron's going to be in jail for a few years. He got a reduced sentence for what he's, like, was able to take down, but he does still do time.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah, which is fair. I think that he did the right thing there. Peter returns. And he's proud of Miles that you protected the city while he was gone. And they vow to protect the city more. They adjust the, Spider-Man code.
Yeah, the Spider-Man oath, yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't want, like, a company to be able to do a thing like they did to Rick and Finn. To, I don't know, corrupt them to corrupt people, sort of thing. So that became part of the code. You then get Norman Osborn. This might be a mid-credits scene. Norman Osborn says that you need to get Harry out of the container, and you see this from a first-person view of being Harry inside this, like, water container thing, saying, get him out. He's ready. We need him now. So that's big.
Yep.
Big hints for Spider-Man 2.
Yep. Which there's also similar hints from the end of Spider-Man 1.
Yep.
So I'm not going to say what those are, but similar.
Yeah, they just add to it.
Yep.
Then, lastly, Miles goes and he puts the science fair cube on top of the church where Finn is buried. Also, after this, he has a phone call with his mom that was pretty good, where he... I think this is maybe if you play a little...
Okay.
But he calls his mom and he talks about kind of the hard time he's having reconciling that the Tinker is bad and did bad things, and Finn was my friend and she was a good person. Like, that kind of thing. And that just this whole experience. And she's dead, like all that, like all of that stuff. And then, we're done. You can New Game Plus it or whatever if you want, or keep doing stuff, but that's where it ends. So that's Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Quite the game. But, okay. Moving to general thoughts. One thing, since we're already talking about it, I really, really liked the weight of being Spider-Man with Finn's death in this. I think this is like the best part of the game, for sure. Of him having to Miles going through like, she's my friend, but she's also like a villain. How do I deal with this? And then she did do the right thing in the end, and it was honorable and good and courageous. But she also made the problem, and like, or made the problem worse, I guess. Like all of those things. I thought that was really good, like a really good growth thing for like a new superhero. I think that would be hard for any superhero, but like being a young one, probably even more. Like, the decisions you make at 17 versus like 27 are different or older, so like he's having to deal with this so much younger.
Very complicated decision. Or the dilemma.
I thought that was really great. I think that I really, really like that. And that's like the big thing I feel like I take with me from this game that really stood out really strongly.
Similarly, so like Finn wanting to take down Roxxon, there's a point where you're like playing the mission and you're in like talking to Genki and he realizes like her plan is to blow up Roxxon Plaza and he's like, is that really a bad thing? He's like, they are pretty bad. Like how else are they going to go down? So there's a point too where Miles kind of like, I can't let her do it though because he knows it's wrong. But I kind of like that dilemma. I think Roxxon's a really good bad corporation as a whole, and I think initially the dilemma is pretty good. It's like, well, if they are just going to blow up Roxxon Plaza to take down this company that is going to try to put out this product that's going to kill a bunch of people, like, is that bad? Like, I don't know. But eventually you'd find out it's much worse than that. But I did like that dilemma. It was, it added a layer to like Finn. Like, she's helped people die, but so that's not good. But if that wasn't true, it's like, I don't know, would she really be classified as a bad person? It's hard to say.
No, right. Well, because it's sort of the, like, doing a bad thing for a good reason or whatever. Like,
like what's the worst, lesser of the two evils in some ways?
Yeah, because, like, part of her vendetta is, personal, obviously.
They killed her brother.
Yeah, but, there's the other part that I guess is probably altruistic of, like, new form is bad for people. It could harm a lot of people. We have to prevent this from ever being a thing. That's, I would say, honorable. And I agree, because Spider-Man, Miles, has that dilemma of she wants a good thing. Like, I think I should go beat up Roxxon and, like, make this not happen. I agree.
Yeah.
But she's doing it in ways that are wrong.
Yeah.
Like being involved with the underground, because, like, it's not... She knows they're criminals and they're bad, but they're a means to this greater good in her mind. And so she's willing to play ball with them. Even though giving these criminals these tech weapons they shouldn't have is like...
It's bad.
It's harmful for New York City.
Yeah.
But, her endgame of Roxxon's out, that'll be better from New York City, even if they have to deal with the underground.
Yeah, it's...
kind of thing. So, this dilemma is really good. I think they really, really nailed this.
Yeah, very much so. I think that was really good. One, I guess this is kind of related too, but there's just this, like, what's it called? A trope in every superhero movie where, like, the superhero just always does the right thing. Like, no matter what. I thought that was interesting. Like, I don't know if a 17-year-old kid, I think he's 17, I don't know, would he be this moral with superpowers? Like, I don't think I would have been, like, not that I would have been around killing people, but, like, I don't know what. It's just a thing. Every superhero is always like, I'm going to do the right thing no matter what. Yeah. And not that, there's times where I can think of maybe that's not the case, but 95% of the time, Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I would have liked to see a little bit of maybe him, like, doing the wrong thing, but at the end, maybe it working out. I don't know. Like, I just don't know if a new superhero would do that. It's just kind of annoying to some extent, Do
you think it's because Peter trained him?
Potentially.
Because I was thinking, like... Because, like, the vibe I get, I guess, because you are right. I think that is a superhero trope.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, like, from my observation.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like Peter is moral. Like, that's his character. That's just how he kind of is.
Yeah.
And so, like, it seems like he would have been moral without Spider-Man. He just would have been a dweeb. But, like,
yeah, probably.
Like, it seemed like that's what he's like. And so maybe Miles being... like trained by Peter, or even his family. You know, his dad was a cop.
Yeah.
His mom's like a public servant or wants to be one. So like,
He has good family. Yeah.
yeah, maybe the structure around him like makes him that way.
Yeah.
But that is a good question because like, you know, you would think, which I don't know, I guess it's because it's Marvel, but like that there should be more superheroes who end up like the boys, kind of from Amazon.
Yeah, where they like do they do the ultimate good thing, but they like
more like Finn, I guess.
But they like kill people and do like that's the other thing too is honestly when I play Spider-Man, I try to kick as many people off buildings as I can, just to, like I'm gonna kill you. But in this game, if you do that, they like get stuck to the building.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
That's what I saw that and I was like, does that always happen? Because
I don't think it happened in the first game.
Okay, so Spider-Man probably actually kicked people out of buildings.
They killed at least my Spider-Man did.
Yeah, or like they broke their back or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's times we were fighting on top of a skyscraper.
Oh yeah, I guess
like,
you're definitely dead.
You're dead. I'm making sure of it.
Yeah, I noticed that in these two actually, where you'd kick them out, but then a web would come and wrap them under.
Yeah, or maybe it was the tech they had. Like they had like a grappling hook thing.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good
things like that. You're like you would almost certainly, if you're fighting on a roof, you would almost certainly kill people.
Yeah, that is a I feel like a hard thing with superheroes in that you have no fatalities or very limited somehow in your fighting. Like even the bad guys you fight, they don't manage to kill people.
You don't kill them, yeah.
You don't kill them and they don't manage to kill people, but you do like ruin entire buildings along the way.
Yeah.
So it does get a little weird, I would say.
So this is not an issue with this game. It's more of just like a superhero thing. I'm like, I mean, it's just almost like unwritten rule. Like superheroes never kill people.
Yeah.
And they just don't do it. You know, and you're like, they probably do.
Yeah. I guess that's the dilemma that these games deal with instead is the personal part of this. So this with Finn, or in the last game, I won't say what they were, but with like Mary Jane or your aunt, like there were personal dilemmas that Peter had with doing the right thing, but then like protecting people and all of that. And so, which is good. I think they really nailed those, but that is true. I would like to, it would be nice if more superheroes fit the darker Batman or like Big B Wolf from Wolf.
Yeah, they're like flawed. They ultimately try to do the right thing, but they just also fuck up.
Yeah. Just glass them.
Yeah. Glass all the villains.
Yeah.
But like, till they're dead.
Yeah. Really glass them.
I hope in the next game you can kill people.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of nice. Well, I don't. But never mind. I don't want to say anything about the new game.
Okay.
I guess it's not really a spoiler, but I just I don't know about it, so.
Yeah. I don't really know anything either.
Yep.
I only had one more thing I feel like that we haven't covered, which is I like that Miles is his own character and that he's not simply just Spider-Man. Like, you know, he does have shared interests with Peter, like they both are tech nerds, but, you know, Miles makes beats or Miles, you know, different things that he's into. I like that he's his own person, that he's not simply Peter, you know. Again or whatever, like it's not just another character. He's his own guy. And for me, my only experience with Miles are actually from like Into the Spider-Verse, watching that movie, which I thought was really cool, and I enjoyed. I thought this was cool. I think he's a cool character, and I like a younger Spider-Man, all of that stuff. Like it's cool. I think he's a good character, and I'm looking forward to more of him. Like I liked his little part in Spider-Man, the last game. I like that he got his own game here. I didn't know that Spider-Man had abilities or Miles had abilities outside of regular Spider-Man. Like I didn't know he could Falcon Punch.
Yes. I didn't either. I've never seen Into the Spider-Verse, so.
What?
I know. I've heard it's really good. I just haven't.
Wow.
I just don't like cartoons.
It's fucking sweet.
Well, maybe I'll go watch it.
I have it. You should borrow it.
I think it's on Netflix.
I think I bet you're right. I guess.
Or I've seen it on some streaming service somewhere.
Or Disney Plus, or both. Something. It's somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think Sony owns Spider-Man, so.
Oh, I think you're right. You should watch it. It's great.
I've heard it's really good.
It's really good. I don't like superheroes that much, and I like that movie a lot.
Is it like, there's like multiple Spider-Man in it, right? Okay. Is Miles the main character?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's the main character, but then you do interact with other Spider-Men from other universes or whatever.
Okay.
But it's cool. It's really good. You should definitely watch that.
Okay. I probably will. It's been on my list for probably since it came out years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's dope. I really like it.
I'll watch it.
I think after playing this too, you might like. I kind of want to rewatch it now after playing this because I watched it in theaters, and I have it on video, so I've watched it once since then. I think too, but
Okay.
yeah, totally worth watching. I really liked it.
I will watch it.
Yeah, that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
I got one more thought.
Cool.
It's kind of just an annoyance. I don't want to. Whatever.
No.
All right. So this is more of a Spider-Man superhero trope thingy again, but it's kind of annoying to me the inconsistency and how much punishments like Spider-Man can take. Because you think about it, you can get killed by just fighting random thugs that just punch you to death, but then you can fall from 400 feet in the air, maybe 1,000 feet in the air, I'm not sure, and then just get up. You're like, okay, come on. What's the difference there? Like, one is you're falling to your death, almost certainly, but you just get up. The other one is you're getting punched by regular people. Like, one of those is a little bit more severe than the other one, but one of them can kill you, one can't. So, like, stuff like that. I know that you need to make regular enemies difficult. Like, you can't just make them die in one punch, but it's just kind of annoying. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a minor point.
No, yeah, it is sort of weird. I don't know how you deal with that either.
I don't know if you can, really. I think you just kind of have to go with it.
Because I guess that, like I don't feel danger when I'm fighting, like, I stop a robbery, and there's 6 dudes there. I don't feel danger.
I don't either. But if you sit there and let them punch you, they'll,
You can, like, die or whatever.
Yeah.
And it does feel a little bit for them like, oh shit, Spider-Man's here. And you do get that feel because you're like, yeah, I'm better than you. If I, like, Falcon punch you, you're all going down.
Yeah.
Especially. Or if I, throw some gadgets at you, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I actually Googled this after I was playing, like, why Spider-Man seems so weak sometimes. Because he can, like, lift cars and, like, lift thousands of pounds. But then he's punching dudes and they're taking, like, 10 punches before they go down. And everything online says that it's, like, a well-known fact that Spider-Man holds his punches back because he doesn't want to kill people. So I guess that's a thing. But still, like,
interesting.
Like, that kind of goes back to my another point. If you're Miles and you're getting punched and getting pissed, you just punch a little bit harder because you get pissed. You just kill a guy,
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that never happens, I don't know. I don't want to sit on here and talk shit about the game. It's really good, but things like that, there's no real solution for it. It's just
that is hard. I don't know what you do with that either. Yeah. I guess that's I think you're right though. I guess that's a superhero at large issue.
Yeah.
More than a.
Well, it's more of a game issue, I think, with superheroes, because you can't.
Oh yeah,
you have to make it playable,
Well, but I feel like watching it would hold true. I guess you don't know they're pulling. You don't experience them pulling your punches. Versus in this game, we beat up hundreds of people through the game.
Well, I'm trying to think of. In regular Spider-Man movies, they only really fight, like, they really only have big fight scenes with, like, the bosses who are also super, have some kind of super things.
You don't see them fight like randos?
You do, but it's like, he's not necessarily punching them a whole bunch. He's, like, webbing them to things. Or he does punch people, I guess, sometimes, but he's not trying to fuck them up as much,
You're like, it's fine. Tobey Maguire can't throw a punch anyway.
Yeah, he couldn't. I mean, he's the one exception. Like, he couldn't punch anything.
You're like, it's fine.
Yeah, that fits. Okay.
No, that's a good question. I don't know how you deal with that.
Yeah. There's not a real solution to it. I just want to get pissy about it.
No, I think that's, like, fair. I think that's the hard side of superheroes.
Yeah, but in general, these two games are really fun. And, like, all that aside, I don't really care about that. It's more of just I have a platform to complain about it, so I'm gonna use it.
No, yeah. I think that's fair. That's certainly in line with, like, I mean, why I haven't watched the movies or anything. Those all very much so go in line with my, like, general disinterest towards superheroes.
Yeah.
So that fits. But I like this. I think this is good. I think this is. I think that, too, coming from that position, I think that's why these things stand out to me. I'm like, the first Spider-Man's probably in my top 10 favorite games.
Yeah.
This one is very, very strong. It doesn't beat it, but I don't know that it's like, it's not like it's way below it or something.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Sort of thing for me. So it's like, that's, any criticism aside, it goes to also, I really fucking like this. Like, it's really strong. It's a good game. I would recommend probably anyone play it.
Yep.
And you can, I don't know, make it easy enough that even if you're not good at games, you could play it and be good. this is something that, would have, I'm sure I talked about on the Spider-Man episode I did before, but, it feels like being Spider-Man, just like the first one, just, playing the OG, the first Spider-Man, that was the first time you felt that way, where you're like, oh my god, I'm web slinging, and like...
I'm literally Spider-Man.
No, it actually feels like that.
Yeah.
Traversal in this game is great, just like in the last one. I fast traveled a couple times in this one, but I played a lot in one day, so I was trying to get a lot of project. Like I finished it over a longer period, but I played a lot one day, and I was trying to get a lot done. So I did fast travel some, but in the first game, I never fast traveled at all. And if I wasn't trying to finish this, like I played the last chunk of this game in a day. If I wasn't trying to do that, I wouldn't have fast traveled either. Like, and most games that have an open world, I fast travel as much as I can.
That's like a bread and butter.
But in this game, you're like, no,
Very
this is so fun.
Yeah, I didn't fast travel at all, I don't think.
Yeah, so, yeah, good game, for sure. Definitely recommend. Looking forward to 2.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff.
100%.
Okay, finally, a little listener feedback to wrap us up then. Justin on Twitter wrote in and said, I loved it. The perfect way to add a great character and hold us off until Spider-Man 2. I definitely need to go back and platinum. I agree. I think this was a great holdover of, I felt like I was getting the Spider-Man itch, and so getting to play this again, I think I played the last one maybe in the middle of last year or something. So to be able to come back and do more, totally great. And I feel like has me eager and anticipating the next one.
Yeah, it made me really want to play the second one, the one that's coming out.
Yep.
Chris on Twitter said, a good superhero Christmas game. Best since Batman Arkham Origins. That's funny. I guess it is technically a Christmas game.
Yeah.
Never thought about that, but I love Christmas-themed things.
No, yeah, it is fun. I wonder if, with this in mind, if I could see myself, like, playing this around Christmas. Not this one, since it's so recent, but in a future Christmas. I'm like, cool, I'm going to watch Die Hard. I'm going to play this.
Swing around New York with Christmas time.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yep.
Captain Horizon on Twitter wrote in, for me, it's kind of a comfort game where I can just relax while playing it and have some fun. Story-wise, it's a little weaker than Spider-Man PS4, but I still love playing the game anyway. I think that's fair, and I think that there is a lot to... I could see this being a comfort game where you're just like, all right, I'm going to just pick this up and, web sling around, stop a few crimes, hang out. Like, I could see that. Or getting in and really doing, like, the collectibles or those things. Like, I could see myself going back and like, all right, I'm going to do all of this one now. Or, like, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Playing on Twitter said, loved it for what it was. Good gameplay, emotional story, exciting launch title.
Yeah, I think this was a really good thing for... we didn't talk about this. This game looks fucking great.
Yeah, it does.
When I played it, I was like, man, Miles looks like a person, like a real person,
a human being.
Not
like touch him.
Yeah, and also being on PS5, there's no loading. Like it just instant.
Yeah, fast traveling was. Oh, I did do it once because I think I wanted to see if there was loading screen. Because I didn't. You just click X and go, and then you start somewhere else. It's
well, and when you turn it on, it just is like immediately on. Like I put it, it's in, turn it on. I'm already playing. Like I don't have time to like send a text or something. Like you're in.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Like that. This is a great thing to have on the PS5 right away. So great job all around there for sure. Slade on Twitter said one of the best Spider-Man games ever.
I think it's probably the second best one, in my opinion, after the first one.
Yeah, I've never played any of the old ones. Like I think there were ones on like PlayStation 1 or 2.
Yeah, I played Web of Shadows. That was really fun.
Okay.
That's for 360.
Okay.
PS3, I think.
Nice.
That's a good game. And then lastly, Casual Opinions on Twitter said, give me co-op in Spider-Man 2 and I'll die happy. That'd be kind of crazy if you could play with a friend, Miles and Peter.
Yeah.
I wonder what they would do with that, actually.
That'll be interesting because... the first one, you played as Peter, I would say like 80 or 90% of the time.
Sometimes MJ.
You played a little as MJ and a little as Miles.
Yeah.
But now getting a full game as, a full game as Miles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do. I wonder if they give the option to play as either one.
Or if it's like half and half. I don't know what you do.
I don't either. I guess I'd prefer if it was... They each kind of have a little bit of variation in the story, and you pick one to play as, and then you can maybe replay as the other one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be good. What if you could play variation in the story, and there's maybe 80% where you can choose either or, and then or something like that. And then there's some that like you have to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, there's this Miles mission where this important thing's going, or that'll be interesting. I don't know how they'll deal with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because you can't like, yeah, never mind. I'll save that for another time.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do. I'm excited though. I'm super eager for it. Looking forward to playing it and getting to talk about it someday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Cool. Well, that is Spider-Man Miles Morales. We did it.
Yep.
Cool game. Go play it. If you have a PS5, you really get to see how it runs on there. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I did see actually the other day that they just put this on PS4. So if you have a PS4, actually, you can now play this.
I thought it was already available on PS4.
Maybe. I think you're right. You're right.
Remember,
I think
we
it
were
was
waiting to play it till we got PS5s.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That's true. That was weird. For some reason on PlayStation they said it was now on PS4 or something, but I think it already was. You're right, because I went to the store when I bought this and I was like, I want to make sure I buy the right one.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to buy the PS4 one and play it on my 5.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a mistypo thing in their announcement.
Yeah, that tweet must have been wrong.
Yeah.
Either way, go play it. It's fun. I'm sure it's great on PS4. I really love playing it on 5.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. If you want to talk to us more about Spider-Man, you can hit us up on Twitter at StoryEverPod. Our website's TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com. On there, there's a backlog of our episodes, including I did Spider-Man, the 2018 PS4 one, with Adam from Games and Groceries. So if you want to listen to that, go check that out. That was fun. Our Patreon, patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed that we mentioned off top. Go check that out. We'd appreciate the support. If you'd like to support us not financially by like leaving a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, that would be super helpful. Just kind of getting the word out, getting to share in more games together. It's a great wrap to 150. Excited for what comes in the future.
Yep.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.